hostages freed, Palestinian prisoners return to Gaza. These are headlines that have marked a huge turning point for West Asia. Donald Trump has called it a new dawn. Tonight we're looking at where things stand, what all unfolded over the last few hours, what lies ahead, and the big questions now hanging in the air, including whether this will bring lasting peace. Also on the show for you tonight, are the Pakistan-Afghanistan tensions headed for a dangerous escalation? We are unpacking the developments for you. Kerala in India on alert. 23 lives have been lost to the rare brain-eating amoeba. We're getting you the complete story and telling you all that you need to know. All this and more coming up.
His Excellency.
After more than 2 years of the war, the hostages have finally come home, Palestinian prisoners have been freed, and Gaza begins to confront the ruins left behind by 2 years of the Israeli bombardment. In President Donald Trump's words, the war is over. But is it really? The violence may have stopped in Gaza, but the true test of Donald Trump's ceasefire plan has just started. Standing alongside Trump in the Israeli parliament, Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel is committed to peace, but Israel's reckoning as far as Gaza is concerned has also only just begun.
Distinct honor to invite the President of the United States of America, His Excellency Donald J. Trump, to address the Knesset.
When Trump entered the Israeli parliament, he received a standing ovation. He has become the 4th US president ever to address the Israeli parliament. And at the podium, Donald Trump declared a historic dawn in West Asia, calling the ceasefire the end of Israel's war on Gaza and the age of terror and death.
Of the United States of America, His Excellency Donald J. Trump, to address the Knesset.
It's the start of a grand concord and lasting harmony for Israel and all the nations of what will soon be a truly magnificent region. I believe that so strongly. This is the historic dawn of a new Middle East. Almighty God of Abraham.
In fact, he paid tributes to Netanyahu, calling him his partner, admitting, quote unquote, he is not the easiest guy to deal with. But in his words, that's what makes him great, quote unquote. In fact, the US president also thanked nations across the Arab and Muslim world that helped pressure Hamas into the deal. And before him, Netanyahu addressed the Israeli parliamentarians and hailed Israel's amazing victories, quote unquote, against Hamas, Hezbollah, the Assad regime in Syria and Iran. In fact, he called Trump the greatest friend Israel has ever had in the White House, and reaffirmed Israel's commitment to the ceasefire that enabled the hostage release. Listen to this.
Mr. President, you are committed to this peace. I am committed to this peace. And together, Mr. President, we will achieve this peace.
And on the ground, joy and relief swept across Israel. After more than 2 years in captivity, tens of thousands gathered there to welcome home the last Israeli hostages from Gaza. Families erupted in tears, cheering, as the hostages were handed over to the Israeli military transported by the Red Cross from Gaza.
Today. It's so exciting and overwhelming that it's finally happening, that what we've been fighting for over 2 years, finally our hostages are coming home. But at the same time, we're not going to stop, and we'll continue coming here until the last hostage.
Meanwhile, in the West Bank, buses carrying Palestinian prisoners arrived in Ramallah as part of the first stage of the ceasefire deal, which freed roughly 1,700 detainees from Gaza and 250 from Israeli prisons. In fact, for Gazans, the relief has been tempered by devastation. 2 years of the war left several parts in ruins, tens of thousands dead, a health system on the brink of collapse. Gazans say that the bombing may have stopped, but there is nothing to be happy about. At least 67,869 Palestinians have been killed in the 2 years of the war, with over 170,000 injured since October 7, 2023. And according to the Gaza Health Ministry, these are the numbers by the ministry. In fact, many victims remain under the rubble of damaged buildings, unreachable by rescue teams.
More than 90% of Khan Yunis is destroyed. The destruction this time is even more than the previous times. The destruction surpasses the capacities of any country, not only a municipality or a government like Gaza. It needs a lot of support and many rebuilding companies.
We call upon them once again to find a solution for the reconstruction. The war of Israel on Gaza is over now. Today we are going into another war, which is surviving. The struggle to survive is what many of us will go through here in Gaza. Everyone is trying to find a house and supply the needs of their families and children. We are also going into winter, and that's the biggest problem.
The ceasefire agreement resolves the immediate crisis, but the bigger questions remain. Who will govern Gaza? US President Donald Trump says Gaza will be demilitarized immediately, with Hamas requiring to disarm and Israeli forces pulling back as part of the 20-point plan. But will Hamas disarm? Will stable peace be possible without a Palestinian state is among the big questions being asked. The Trump plan proposes a temporary administration of Gaza, remember, by Palestinians and international experts, overseen by a board chaired by the US president. But Netanyahu has effectively ruled out any role for the Palestinian Authority, and Hamas rejects foreign guardianship, quote unquote. So the negotiations now face the hardest part, translating a ceasefire into lasting peace, and the underlying issues of the governance, the security, recognition remain unsettled. Israel's rightward political shift and the trauma of October 7 have hardened positions on both sides. While the hostages are home, prisoners have been freed. The long road to reconciliation reconstruction, and real peace in Gaza has only just started. And US President Donald Trump is in Egypt for the Gaza Peace Summit. After that visit to Israel, several world leaders, including the UK Prime Minister, the French President, are already in Sharm el-Sheikh. In fact, before Trump's Air Force One landed at the Sharm el-Sheikh International Airport, it was escorted by Egyptian F-16s. US President Donald Trump has hailed his Egyptian counterpart as they began that summit on Gaza, saying he played a key role in the negotiations with Hamas. More than 20 leaders gathered to mark the Gaza ceasefire and the return of the Israeli hostages in exchange for Palestinian detainees. In fact, the Palestinian president is also attending the summit there in Egypt. These are the live images, in fact, that we're getting to you of those world leaders there. Trump's plan for ending the war in Gaza has left open the possibility of a role for Abbas's Palestinian Authority, which is a rival to Hamas. And remember, Abbas also represents Palestinians at international organizations. And among the other notable attendees there, the Turkish president, Saudi Arabia's foreign minister, among others. And we will, of course, keep a close eye on the latest coming in from West Asia, but we're shifting focus for now. Pakistan is reportedly moving into full kinetic posture along its border with Afghanistan, a dangerous escalation that perhaps signals growing desperation within Pakistan's military establishment. According to reports in Pakistani media, security sources in Islamabad have warned that any future strikes from Afghan soil will invite direct hits inside Afghanistan. And this marks a sharp departure when it comes to Pakistan's approach. Also a clear shift in its rules of engagement. Field Marshal Asim Munir now finding himself under a lot of strain as the tensions flare on multiple fronts. Last week's attacks in Kabul came just as the Taliban's foreign minister, remember, was in India, a coincidence that has not gone unnoticed in the region. The Taliban claims Pakistan was behind the attacks in Kabul and southeastern Paktika last week, killing civilians, while Pakistan has called on Kabul to stop harboring TTP terrorists on its soil, quote unquote. Over the weekend, fierce clashes followed near the Durand line around midnight, where the Taliban claims to have captured 20 Pakistani posts and killed 58 soldiers. Islamabad disputes those numbers, saying 23 of its troops died and that 200 Taliban fighters were neutralized. The violence has paused only after mediation from Qatar and Saudi Arabia, but Kabul has warned that any violation of its territory will provoke retaliation. The United States and Iran, in fact, have both urged restraint, cautioning that a spiral of strikes and counter-strikes could destabilize the entire region. At home, Asim Munir's troubles only mounting. Political instability in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa adding yet another layer of difficulties for the military chief. Suhail Afridi, a nominee backed by Imran Khan's PTI, has been announced as the new chief minister, a move that the opposition rejected as unconstitutional after boycotting the elections. The governor there had even questioned the authenticity of former Chief Minister Ali Amin Gandapur's resignation letters, but Imran Khan's camp pressed ahead, claiming on X that the transition was made under Khan's direct orders to manage the worsening situation in northwestern province there. Remember, the Pakistan establishment has tried to remove the PTI government from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, the only province in Pakistan where the PTI government is in power, on multiple occasions, but to no avail. Just to put this simply, Asim Munir has failed to defeat Imran Khan, even though he is behind bars. And Imran Khan's decision to remove Gandapur stems from him being viewed as too accommodating towards the Pakistan military. And the appointment of Sohail Afridi, a young lawmaker from the tribal district of Khyber, as his replacement is hence both symbolic and also strategic. Pakistan today is standing at a crucial crossroads where its military ruler, Field Marshal Asim Munir, appears to have chosen the oldest and deadliest game in the country's playbook, the politics of division. And having run out of foreign enemies to exploit, and with his legitimacy increasingly fragile at home, Munir seems to have turned inward, weaponizing ethnicity and regional identity to try and sustain control. Pakistan streets also simmering with tension. A massive pro-Palestine march organized by the Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan turned violent in Muridke, around 35 kilometers from Lahore. Clashes between the demonstrators and the police left at least 5 people dead, including a police officer. Dozens of others were injured. Videos from the site where the clashes took place showing vehicles burning, chaos spreading as the protesters tried to remove the barricades on the highway from Lahore to Islamabad. In fact, TLP's leader Saad Rizvi was reportedly among the injured, and his whereabouts remain unclear. Gunfire echoed as he appealed to the security forces to stop firing. Police saying that they have arrested over 100 demonstrators and are still hunting for the protest leaders hiding in nearby neighborhoods. You see, for Pakistan's army chief, this combination of these border battles, the political turmoil, the street unrest, representing multiple challenges. Asim Munir's and Pakistan Army's another traditional playbook of blaming India for national unity no longer resonates, because India has simply grown too powerful to be used as a convenient distraction. In short, Pakistan's establishment is facing pressure from just about every direction, and this time there is no easy escape route. Switching gears for now, as West Asia breathes a sigh of relief because of the Gaza ceasefire, the Ukrainian president has hailed the truce and said that it brings hope that US President Donald Trump could similarly broker an end to the Russia-Ukraine war. He said on social media, I'm quoting here, "When peace is achieved for one part of the world, it brings more hope for peace in other regions." It's been a long-drawn war. Tens of thousands have been killed, millions forced from their homes, much of eastern and southern Ukraine decimated. Still, the war is showing no signs of abating. If anything, its spillover effect is being felt and being talked about. According to new reports now, Russia has reportedly started what analysts are calling Phase 0 in its military preparations for a potential war with NATO. You heard that right. The Institute for the Study of War, in fact, saying the appearance of a small group of Russian military personnel along the Estonian border is part of a broader effort to establish an information and psychological platform ahead of possible future conflict. This is crucial. And on Friday, October 10, Estonian authorities temporarily closed a section of the road near the Russian border after the border guards spotted Russian servicemen without identification markings. The road, which runs partially through the Russian territory, spans nearly a kilometer between the village of Varska and Satse. Estonian officials noted that the uniforms of the individuals spotted suggested that they were not Russian border guards. Moscow, however, maintaining that its activities in the area were routine operations. The Estonian foreign minister, meanwhile, said that Russian troops have been acting more decisively and visibly than before, though he cautioned against exaggerated reports of escalating tensions there. The government has also announced plans to discontinue the use of this road with alternative routes already in place or under construction. The report saying that this incident follows earlier provocations, including the Russian military aircraft violating Estonian airspace on September 7 and 19. And according to Western experts, Russia has intensified both covert and overt actions against Europe, marking what they describe as Phase 0, basically a stage focused on shaping information and psychological conditions as a precursor to potential open war with NATO. The report notes this is the first time ISW has observed what the Kremlin calls little green men, that is, Russian forces in unmarked uniforms operating near a NATO state under this Phase 0 campaign. Meanwhile, the conflict in Ukraine continues unabated. Firefighters in southern Ukraine worked through the night to contain massive fires at textile and sewing warehouses in Odessa after a Russian drone attack which damaged more than 5,000 square meters of storage space and destroyed a vehicle. One person was injured. On the front lines, Russia and Ukraine have been exchanging fire across multiple regions. The Russian Defense Ministry claiming to have shot down more than 70 Ukrainian drones over the past 24 hours, while striking Ukrainian fuel and energy infrastructure in 137 locations. Ukraine, meanwhile, says it has regained control of a village in Zaporizhia Oblast. This, as reports suggest, that the U.S. intelligence sharing has enabled Ukraine to conduct long-range strikes against Russian energy facilities, though neither Washington nor Kiev have officially commented on the report. Meanwhile, in Donetsk, the situation is dire. Ukrainian soldiers are increasingly exposed to drone attacks that can hit targets with precision. Local hospitals reported shrapnel injuries as the primary cause of the wounds, with evacuation of the injured becoming more difficult due to the intensity of the fighting. Soldiers and medical staff have also described a grueling reality. Some wounded remain on the front lines for days or even weeks, and the advanced technology of the drones is changing the dynamics of combat entirely. In Kramatorsk, authorities have ordered evacuations of families with children from certain neighborhoods as the city faces heavy shelling. And amid this escalated fighting, US President Donald Trump has said over the weekend that he may provide Ukraine with long-range Tomahawk missiles if the Russian president does not end the war. And discussions between Trump and the Ukrainian president reportedly cover the potential delivery of such weaponry, though the Kremlin has reiterated that any use would require US participation, and that would mean direct conflict between the US and Russia. Today, Ukraine's foreign minister said more countries are expected to join a NATO-backed arms funding scheme known as the Prioritized Ukraine Requirements List. Already, countries including the Netherlands, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Germany, Canada have financed earlier packages. In fact, it is designed to provide Ukraine with new weapons and reallocate US stockpiles through contributions from NATO allies. As a whole, the situation in Eastern Europe remains tense, to say the least, with Russia advancing the Phase 0 tactics that we just told you about, Ukraine continuing to defend its territory under challenging conditions, and the NATO-backed support growing amid the escalating hostilities. How far will this escalation go remains to be seen. And after more than 3 years of the fighting, can diplomatic or military solutions still happen? And here's a quick look at what else is lined up for you on the show tonight. With the US rushing to secure rare earths, we tell you more about the moves being made and why this is so crucial for the United States. What's the story behind the red grapes being grown by Spanish scientists? We tell you all that you need to know. All this and more coming up. The Pentagon has launched a major drive to secure key minerals that power America's defense industry in what appears to be a direct response to China's tightening control over the global rare earth supplies. In fact, the US plans to spend as much as $1 billion to stockpile the critical resources like cobalt. These minerals, these materials are essential for manufacturing advanced fighter jets, radar systems, naval ships and submarines, among other uses. And this stockpiling effort comes soon after Beijing imposed export restrictions on rare earth elements, considered vital to US military hardware and weapons production. So the move signals China's growing leverage over materials that power the modern battlefield. And according to the US Geological Survey, China produces almost 70% of the world's rare earths. Beijing controls over 90% of the refining and processing of rare earths. For the Pentagon, the stakes are as high as they could be. More than 80% of American weapon systems rely on rare earth minerals. From precision-guided missiles and stealth fighter jets to nuclear submarines and next-generation radar networks, elements like samarium, terbium, forming the core foundation of the US defense industry. And without them, America's military readiness could face serious disruption. Analysts at the Center for Strategic and International Studies warning that these rare earths are, quote-unquote, the operational backbone of the US defense systems, including the F-35 Lightning II fighter jets, Virginia and Columbia class submarines, Tomahawk missiles, high-frequency radar and Predator drones. And China is aware of this strategic dependency, and it has used its mineral dominance as a bargaining chip in the trade negotiations with Washington. Experts say there are virtually no substitutes for most rare earth materials, and China tightly guards the refining technologies that America needs to build its own capacity. So the Pentagon's billion-dollar scramble may not be enough to break that dependence anytime soon as such. But then it also signals that America is trying to reduce its dependency and letting the future of its defense no longer solely hinge on China's goodwill. Our next story is from India, where Union Minister Suresh Gopi has been making headlines for something that he has said. The actor turned politician wants to return to acting. You heard that right. It's an extraordinary story. Let's just tell you a bit more about what he has said. Suresh Gopi was addressing an event where he spoke about how he wishes to continue his film career. What's the reason? He reportedly says his income has significantly decreased since taking up the ministerial role and that he needs to earn more. In fact, he said he never prayed for becoming a minister and spoke about how he ended up becoming one. And he reportedly went to the extent of suggesting who should be replacing him as union minister. When have you heard a minister saying all this? No wonder his statements have created a lot of buzz. Let's just tell you more about him and his journey in case you are not aware. He is well known for his work in Malayalam cinema, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Hindi films. He was born in Kerala, and he is also known for his singing skills. In fact, in 1998, he received both the National Film Award and the Kerala State Film Award for Best Actor. What about his stint as a politician? He is the BJP's first Lok Sabha member from Kerala. Earlier, he contested from the Thrissur constituency on a BJP ticket but was defeated. And then years later, in March 2024, he was once again named as the candidate for Thrissur and went on to win. He was earlier Rajya Sabha MP from 2016 to 2022. He currently serves as Minister of State for Tourism and Minister of State for Petroleum and Natural Gas. But then, how long would he continue in that post? And what happens from here onwards remains to be seen. In modern warfare, tensions are not just about ships and sovereignty, they're also about perception. It's a lot about optics. And here's why we are saying this. New footage purportedly from the South China Sea shows Philippine fishing boats idling near China's Yuangyandao, also known as the Scarborough Shoal, and Xianbinjiao. At first glance, these boats look like any other fishing operations. But watch closely and it tells you a rather different story. Fishing rods hang idly on decks, clothes flutter in the wind, but there is no sign of the deep sea activity that normally characterizes this area. According to the report, these are not fishermen and that's not a fishing boat. The report says they are not even locals. They are allegedly brought from other parts of the Philippines and guided by the government vessels, and their daytime only activities contrast with the typical night fishing operations that actually attract fish. And guided by government vessels, their daytime only activities contrast with the typical night fishing operations. This also seems to be a lot about sending out a message, perhaps. A staged or performative operation? That's the question also doing the rounds. But here's a key detail here. Find the source of the video and it will tell you the full story. The video comes from a media outlet affiliated with the China Media Group. In other words, this is Beijing trying to frame the story, portraying Philippine activity as provocative, staged, and potentially threatening in what China claims as its territorial waters. But this is not happening in isolation. Just days ago, the Philippine government raised concerns about a Chinese Coast Guard maneuver near Thitu Island. All right, going back across now to these visuals coming in from Egypt. It's a photo opportunity of those world leaders who've gathered there for that crucial summit. This, of course, coming in just hours after West Asia witnessed a massive turning point because of the ceasefire deal. All right, let's play out those visuals for you once again. Those world leaders gathering for that photo opportunity. Quite a moment. Of course, it has been a rather historic day for West Asia. A number of questions still hanging in the air as far as that Gaza ceasefire plan is concerned about what happens from here onwards. But at the same time, US President Donald Trump there taking center stage earlier in the day, calling it a new dawn for West Asia. Shifting focus now to India, where Kerala is grappling with a sudden surge in cases of a deadly brain-eating amoeba, sending alarm bells ringing through the state. In the past few weeks itself, health authorities have recorded at least 104 cases of amoebic encephalitis, commonly known as brain fever. 23 fatalities have been confirmed so far. The outbreak coming shortly after Kerala faced a major health scare from the Nipah virus last year. Kollam and Thiruvananthapuram are among the districts with the highest cases, while cases are also climbing in other parts. In the latest, a 62-year-old man has fallen victim to the disease, while the youngest casualty of this infection was just 3 months old. The disease is caused by a free-living amoeba that enters the body through contaminated water, basically via the nose, and then reaches the brain. Globally, infections from the brain-eating amoebas carry a fatality rate of 98%. 98%, while related cases exceed 70% mortality. Symptoms appear suddenly and rather aggressively, like high fever, excruciating headache, nausea, vomiting, tremors. Patients may develop meningitis-like signs, including stiff neck, light sensitivity, confusion, also can rapidly slip into a coma. Even with treatment, survival is rare, with only 11 known survivors worldwide. Early detection remains critical to fight the outbreak. Kerala has launched the Water is Life campaign, disinfecting wells and public water sources. The state health minister reporting that prompt diagnosis combined with the treatment using a type of oral medication has improved survival rates to 24%, far above the global average of under 3%. Kerala's health authorities have meanwhile urged the people to remain vigilant, avoid unsafe water exposure and seek immediate medical attention at the first signs of the illness. The ancient city of Timbuktu is alive with celebration. A city once known for its golden age of learning is now honoring a monumental symbol of its heritage. Hundreds have gathered to preserve and celebrate a mosque that has stood for 7 centuries. Our next report telling you more.
The sun rises over Timbuktu, casting its spell on one of Africa's most iconic landmarks. Built in 1325 by Emperor Mansa Musa, the Djingarey Ber Mosque remains a masterpiece of earthen architecture. Formed entirely from banko, a mixture of raw earth that has survived the test of time. Every year, residents and masons unite to protect the structure from the harsh desert climate. But this time, it is more than maintenance. It is about honoring a milestone.
Every year, we carry out maintenance work on the mosque, and all the communities and masons come out to do the annual plastering. But this year is exceptional as it coincides with the 700th anniversary of the mosque. We are therefore coming together to perform the same ritual and do the work to ensure its durability.
The mosque, recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site in 1989, faced grave threats in 2012 when armed Islamist groups occupied the city and destroyed several cultural sites, including mausoleums and parts of the mosque. Now, the people of Timbuktu are reclaiming their heritage with pride.
We are in 2025, and today marking the 700th anniversary of the mosque. So to celebrate this anniversary, we have combined the annual plastering and the celebration of the 700th anniversary of the mosque.
The anniversary has united the city across generations, from elders to the youth. Everyone takes part in restoring history with their own hands.
It's a cultural celebration, but it's also a celebration of social cohesion. Everyone participates, women, young people, and the elderly. Everyone is involved because it's also an initiation, a way of showing future generations that this activity needs to be taken seriously.
In a city once scarred by conflict, the plastering of Djingarey Ber has become more than a tradition. It is an act of resilience, faith, and unity. 700 years on, the mosque in Timbuktu continues to stand tall.
3 economists have jointly won the 2025 Nobel Prize in Economics. American-Israeli Moquer, France's Philippe Aguillon, and Canada's Peter Howitt have been bestowed this honor for their work on technology's impact on sustained economic growth. 79-year-old Moquer won one half of the prize for identifying the prerequisites for sustained growth through technological progress, while Aguillon and Howitt shared the other half for their theory of sustained growth through creative destruction. Their work answered questions about how technological innovation drives growth and how sustained growth can be maintained. Moquer, who is a professor at Northwestern University in the United States, used historical sources as one means to uncover the causes of sustained growth becoming the new normal. Aguillon and Howitt then examined the concept of creative destruction, which basically refers to the process when a new and better product enters the market, the companies selling the older products lose out. After winning the Nobel for Economics, Aguillon called on Europe to learn from the US and China, who he believes have found ways to reconcile competition and industrial policy, saying, and I'm quoting, "In Europe, in the name of competition policy, we became very anti any form of industrial policy. I think we need to evolve on that and find ways to reconcile industrial policy in areas like defense, climate, AI, biotech, where we are very good." Formerly known as the prize, the Sebridges Risk Bank Prize in Economic Study Sciences. It's the final prize to be given out this year, and it's worth 11 million Swedish crowns or $1.2 million. The laureates will receive their prizes at formal ceremonies in Stockholm and Oslo on December 10. That date is the anniversary of the deaths of Alfred Nobel in 1896. In Spain, a familiar fruit is getting a new twist. A new table grape looks ordinary on the outside but surprises with a deep red flesh on the inside, just like a cherry. Scientists are saying it could offer a fresh take on one of the world's most familiar fruits, and it's all the result of a decade of selective breeding. At first glance, they look like any other dark table grapes. But what's under the peel is what makes them unique. A deep red pulp that looks more like a berry or cherry perhaps, rather than a conventional grape. The variety was developed at a lab in a project that began over 10 years ago. Why the need to create this new variety altogether? In one word, antioxidants. Listen to this.
Our hypothesis was that if we can get red flesh table grapes, they would be more rich in antioxidants because the color of the skin is given by the antioxidants called anthocyanins. And those red flesh teinturier varieties have these antioxidant compounds, these anthocyanins, also in the flesh. So we thought that if we cross those ancient varieties that are not table grapes with the bloom fresh or SNFL varieties, we could get very good table grapes rich in antioxidants.
The process is meticulous and manual. Pollen from one variety is used to fertilize the flowers of another, creating embryos that carry traits from both parents. Thousands of hybrids are generated and carefully evaluated to select the best ones. And now these grapes are being cultivated at a farm over 6 hectares dedicated to this new variety. Harvesting is tricky because of the grape's unique red flesh. The aim is to balance taste, color, sugar content, and the crunchiness, ensuring that every grape meets the standard. At a central market there, shoppers are already enthusiastic about the vivid color.
Use it for fruit salad. It's a nice color for it.
It's sweet but has a hint of sour. Well, the contrast is very nice.
The main destination is the UK, where 90% are being sold as red berry grapes at Marks & Spencer. Early lab tests at the university suggest the grapes may contain high levels of natural antioxidant compounds, though independent studies are still underway. And these are basically pigments responsible for the red or purple color, known for anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects. They are also found in blueberries, black rice, even red cabbage. In fact, resveratrol is the same compound found in red wine, linked to heart health, anti-aging, longevity research. So there you have it, a familiar fruit transformed by science. Is this the future of food? Artificial intelligence is being used to create highly realistic but misleading images of European cities, fueling far-right propaganda and stoking racial tensions. And experts are warning that these AI-generated visuals are being exploited to try and spread extremist narratives at an alarming pace. In one striking example, AI renders London's Big Ben surrounded by trash and crowds in traditional Islamic clothing, covered in graffiti resembling Arabic script. These images falsely depict a future where immigrants replace the local populations, tapping into xenophobic fears. Despite built-in safety filters, popular AI chatbots reportedly allow users to produce such harmful content quickly. And experts have said that these tools are being exploited to visualize and spread extremist narratives. British far-right leader Tommy Robinson reposted a video titled London in 2050 on X in June, drawing over 500,000 views. Robinson has shared similar AI videos depicting parts like New York, Milan, Brussels. And last month itself, he led one of the largest far-right demonstrations in central London in years, with up to 150,000 people protesting against migration. TikTok banned the account responsible for Robinson's AI videos, citing repeated promotion of hateful ideologies and conspiracy theories. X has also been criticized for amplifying hate and disinformation. Nevertheless, these AI-generated clips continue to circulate widely. Right-wing leaders in Austria, Belgium, Italy, Netherlands have posted their own dystopian city visions, warning of demographic changes that experts are saying are exaggerated or false. And researchers warn these videos reinforce dangerous stereotypes and can increase the risk of violence. Experts emphasize that even with safeguards, chatbots can be easily manipulated to generate racist and inflammatory images, making the fight against online extremist content more difficult than ever. Climate change has turned a small Japanese town into a favorite among the lovers of Pinot Noir. But now the farmers of this northern Japanese town are extremely worried, just as the town is gaining a lot of fame. Take a look. Ferrari has officially forayed into the electric vehicle space by announcing its debut EV. While the car is yet to be shown in its final production form, Ferrari revealed its specifications and other technical details during the brand's Capital Markets Day event. Ferrari, which is best known for its V12-powered supercars, claims the performance of this vehicle will rival its petrol-powered siblings. The 1,000 horsepower electric supercar will be propelled by 4 motors and a large 122 kilowatt-hour battery pack developed in-house by Ferrari. The EV's driving range is expected to be around 530 kilometers. This vehicle will also be the heaviest Ferrari to date, expected to weigh close to 2,300 kilograms. Despite this challenge, Ferrari is confident of a 0 to 100 kilometers per hour time of just 2.5 seconds and a top speed of 310 kilometers per hour. With deliveries likely in late 2026, the vehicle is expected to be priced near the €500,000 mark.
Tough people better than I like the soft, easy ones. I don't know what the hell that is. It's a personality problem, I suspect. But this gentleman from a place called Turkey has one of the most powerful armies actually in the world. It's much more powerful than he even lets known. If you look at some of the recent conflicts, he was at the top of them and he was winning them, and he did win them. And he doesn't want any credits. He doesn't want anything. He just wants to be left alone. He's a tough cookie, but he's been my friend. And every time I've ever needed him, he's been there for me. So I just want to thank President Erdogan, Turkey. Great guy. When NATO has a problem with him, because he is difficult, they call me. They said, would you do me a favor? Could you speak to Erdogan? And I do. And he never fails us. Right, General? He never fails. He's amazing. So I just want to thank you for the friendship. It's great. Thank you very much. And then, of course, we have the host tonight, and I just want to thank you very much. There was a reason we chose Egypt, because you were very helpful, and very, very helpful. Everybody wanted to have this, but we really thought it was appropriate, and you are a great leader. You have very little crime. You have problems that other countries don't have, and, of course, nothing's perfect. But the job you do is amazing, and I want to thank you. Another one, he's been my friend right from the beginning, during the campaign against crooked Hillary Clinton. Have you heard of her? We were both downstairs waiting to go up to meet this gentleman who has a place called Egypt, the oldest civilization. They say 6,000 years. China's 5,000 years, but you're actually number one, 6,000 years. Can you believe it? But the oldest, they say, civilization. But so I went up to meet him first. And we liked each other so much that she waited for about an hour and a half. And I think your meeting lasted about 2 minutes with her. So I always remembered that. But that was our first meeting. We had great chemistry together. And he's a fantastic man and a fantastic general, by the way. But he's a great president. And I want to thank Egypt and all of your representatives for treating us all so well. Thank you very much. So we're going to be signing, and we're really representative of a whole group of nations, and they're sitting behind us, and you know most of them. I can tell you this guy's got so much money. They all have so much money. There's more money and power sitting behind us. I love that they're behind us. They've never been sitting behind anybody before. This is a unique position for them, but they are seriously, they're among the most powerful countries in the world, the richest countries in the world, and there's never been really an assemblage like what we have today. I don't think, Tamim, I've never seen it anyway. And I want to thank everybody for being with us. Here's a man, I just solved the war for him, Azerbaijan. Right, did I do a good job? Where's your compatriot here? Where's Arias? You two guys are still getting along, right? They fought for 32 years. In about 1 hour, we settled it, right? And they like each other now, too. It's good. That's great. I think it's great. Well, I want to thank everybody for being here. We have Italy. She's a very strong ruler. She's doing a great job. You're doing a great job. Thank you very much. There's so many. But we're actually going to be making a speech after this. So this is just a very important signing. But we're doing a signing, then we're doing a speech. And then I may stay behind with the leaders just to talk about that, some things without the press, without the media. But I want to thank the media for you've been so respectful on this deal. You know the importance of the deal, and I really, it was so pleasant to watch. I was on the plane for quite a while listening to the various newscasts, and they were all fair. They were talking about how incredible this is. This is an incredible day for the world, let alone the Middle East. So I just wanted to thank the media. They really treated it with respect. I wish you could be like that on other things, but that's perhaps too much to ask for. But on this, tremendous, everybody feels the same. Just tremendous respect, and we appreciate it very much. Can we get the documents, please? Okay.
Little sun right here.
Okay. This took 3,000 years to get to this point. Can you believe it? And it's going to hold up, too. It's going to hold up. Okay, thank you. I can use my pen. Have a pen? I can use mine? Okay.
All right, so with that signing, it's a huge moment for West Asia. In fact, Donald Trump once again calling it a tremendous day, earlier calling it a new dawn for West Asia. We will, of course, keep a close eye on the latest coming in. Taking a very short break at this point. Stay tuned.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.